ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm your host, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we got a huge news week for you with two Mandalorian castmates having wildly different weeks. On Trailer Talk, we got the Justice League Zack Snyder cut trailer finally. Our news streaming, we got a decent week for you. It's not huge, but it's not small by any means. It's right in that sweet spot. We'll get to what we're watching and our main review for the episode, Judas and the Black Messiah. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by none other than the Prince of the Posterior Summons, Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, everybody?
This will be the last week of the Prince of the Posterior Summons, unless it gets revived for next Valentine's Day.
I mean, you never know. There could always be a part 2 Electric Boogaloo or something. Here.
Electric. Actually, I don't know where I was going with that.
Do you have like a go-to like sequel name? Like there's, mine's Electric Boogaloo, obviously, but a lot of people do, episode 2, Back in the Habit, or episode 2, the Return of.
Like at a colon.
Yeah. Like, what would you, if you were gonna do a sequel, what would your go-to one be?
The Prince of the Posterior Summons.
Sure. Would it be the Return of the Prince of Posterior Summons? Would it be like Back in Action? Would it be?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Would they strike back?
Mine would be the Prince of Posterior Summons, The Summoning.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna Prince of Posterior Summons 2, The Summoning.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I think it might be Prince of the Posterior Summons Resurrection.
Okay, that works too. Resurrection.
Yeah. Resurrection.
All right.
That's always a good go-to. Blake, you got one?
I don't know. I wish I could have like a play, like where they throw like 2 into the the title.
Ooh,
like
okay, yeah, like two Prince, 2 Summons.
Trying to figure out how I can get that.
Two Posterior.
Yeah, 2 Prince, 2 Posterior. We'll go with that.
Well, also joining me today is LL, the Lord of Love, Tyler Vidalis.
And Cool J.
What's going on?
What up?
LL Tyler.
What's going on, man?
Is that your like author name?
I guess.
I think you're actually are you too young for LL Cool J?
He might be.
No, I know LL Cool J.
Okay.
Most famously known for his part in Deep Blue Sea.
I was just gonna ask him, what does he know LL Cool J from? And I was gonna ask, is it Deep Blue Sea? But I don't think it is.
What is he on now? Like NCIS or whatever?
NCIS is where I know him from. NCIS LA, I think it is.
That's so funny.
He's not.
That's like my first,
old, bro.
That's like my my first when I first
that's your
think of
Ice-T.
LL, that's what I first go to. But I know
that's what version of Ice-T you see too.
What's
Isn't that
Deep Blue Sea even has Samuel Jackson?
Of course it does.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it does.
The bird
shark. I forgot what he says. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Hold on to your butts.
I don't know what Deep Blue Sea is.
You need to see Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% watch.
I'm sure he throws in a motherfucker to the shark. I'm sure he does.
Gotta be.
I've had it with these motherfucking sharks on this motherfucking station.
It might be something of those lines.
They create hyper intelligent sharks, and for no reason do they expect that to go poorly whatsoever. But
yeah.
Eventually the sharks break free. I remember it more as I remember the trailer because I remember Saffron Burrows going down into the water because they played that exact clip like 8 million times of her in that swimsuit walking down into the water, and I was like, I remember that like being one of the triggers of like me coming online and being like, oh, women are interesting, that's fun.
Daniel, I love how you keep referencing to you becoming like
sexually aware.
Follow listeners of Back Row Banter will soon know all the details of my sexual awakening as a child.
All right, and also joining us today is, I guess, CC, if we're going with the acronyms, Captain Cupid BlakeHolder.
C squared.
There you go.
C squared.
You could be a per my last email.
Yeah. Copy.
Copy.
My last email. Reply all, BlakeHolder.
Right, but that is me. How you guys doing, man?
I'm good, man.
bro.
How's
How are
your
you?
week?
It was all right. Pretty long, but new week ahead, so can't complain at all.
I feel that, man. One day at a time at this point.
Man, there was some sagas this week, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Care to share?
Yeah, we got a long episode, and it'll actually come up organically, I'm sure, at some point.
Fair. Very fair.
Maybe for
Well, speaking of that
what
long
we're watching.
episode, let's get right into it.
All right, let's do it.
In the news, we got a jam-packed news week this week. We're going to start off here with some Borderlands news. So we got 2 Borderlands castings. Jamie Lee Curtis joins, and so does Jack Black. Jamie Lee Curtis will be playing Tannis, an archaeologist on Pandora who might have the key to finding a vault filled with alien weapon technology, but whose complicated history with Lilith, who is going to be Cate Blanchett, isn't going to help. So maybe some kind of friend, but also foe kind of action there. Maybe like
cool with
a
that.
Nebula from MCU or something. And then Jack Black is getting the voice of Claptrap, the iconic Borderlands character.
Interesting.
That's pretty awesome.
Ty, as our resident Borderlands player expert, whatever you want to call it, thoughts here?
I'm okay with the professor.
Okay.
That's actually
Jamie Lee Curtis.
yeah, that's actually pretty good. Tannis is that'll fit well. I'm curious as to why they just didn't ask the original voice for Claptrap to just play the voice for Claptrap.
That's exactly what I thought too.
I feel like that's a little odd.
It's interesting.
And I feel like that would be a cool little Easter egg to tie in.
For those of us who don't know, Claptrap is a small robot. Yes.
Yeah. He's a small robot who's fixed on death and the devastation of the world. And when you first meet him, he thinks he's like badass, and then you basically just blow him up real quick, and he's like, "Well, I'm your servant."
But I feel like that seems very Jack Black-ish of a role.
He's just more or less got more or less like one-liners or like quips. He's not really like a
fully fleshed out character.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, there are some times where he gets like some bigger parts where you have like a super small side mission.
Right.
But other than that,
Isn't Kevin Hart the other lead in this too?
Yeah, he's a Roland. That's what we talked about the other day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, if they have to recast Claptrap, because I know of the character and a little bit, I think Jack Black is actually really good casting for it.
Yeah, he's got crazy characters inside him. Dude's nuts. I like him. I've liked Jack Black ever since probably Nacho Libre.
Shallow Hal.
Yeah.
Talking about a movie that should really just be forgotten.
A while.
Yeah. No one should remember that movie.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll do fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about how he'll do, to be honest.
When you said him originally, I thought he was going to be casted as Marcus, who is...
Marcus Phoenix, obviously, from Gears of War.
He's a guy that basically sells them guns, and he ends up being a pretty big part of the story overall.
Sure.
He's got his own vending machines and stuff like that, but he's a heavier set guy with some facial hair, and they could totally do Jack Black like that. I thought exactly him when you said Jack Black, not Claptrap at all, but moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to our next video game movie news story. The Last of Us series, which I've given everybody some tabs on over the past few months. Since it's a show very close to me, as it's one of if not my favorite games of all time. They have their leads casted. So Ellie, who plays the teenager in the game, I guess the show, is going to be casted by Bella Ramsey, who you guys will know as Lady... Oh, man, what's her name? Lyanna Mormont in HBO Max's...
Yeah, she's a little bear girl.
She's Lady Mormont, the bear girl, who everybody... I think she was kind of a fan favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
When she first came on screen and everything. So I think this will be an interesting casting. Going along with that, though, they also announced the other lead, who will be Joel, as the character, is going to be Pedro Pascal, which I'm all on board for.
I feel like most people would be.
Friend of the podcast.
Yeah, friend of the show. I think these are both, I think, really good castings. I'm really excited where they see these, or where they'll take these characters. I think Pedro Pascal excites me more than Bella Ramsey.
Sure.
I think that's just natural because he's proven to me he's got what it takes.
Fucking Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, he's Pedro Pascal, and I'm so happy he's starting to blow up more since, I guess in the past few years since Mandalorian and everything. Even back to his role on Game of Thrones as what did he play? He played the
Viper.
Prince from Dorne. I forgot his name though. Yeah, the Viper. Whatever his name was. Yeah, very exciting castings. I'm really excited for this.
That was Oberyn Martell.
Oberyn. Yep.
I mean, they look like them, right? You know, and this is kind of the trap you always fall into with casting is, you know, do you cast someone who looks exactly like the character that you're doing, or do you cast, you know, the right actor in there? And not to say that either of them are not the right actors anyways, but I mean, from what I understand of Last of Us is that Joel is there's quite a lot of gravitas to Joel as a character, and he's very serious. And
it's like Indiana Jones.
Pedro always kind of plays there's kind of a bit of wit to Pedro's characters that he generally plays too, and I wonder how that will translate over, if he'll go more kind of a serious route that we haven't necessarily seen, or just maybe not. He's done in other roles that I'm not super familiar with, but I'll be interested to see kind of how that plays out.
Sure.
Because I'm interested in the overall tone of this series too, because it seems like they are going for like a kind of direct adaptation almost, which is not as interesting as maybe I would think it would be. But I'm curious as to how it turns out for sure. It's not unwelcome news, but I am definitely cautious on this show overall, I feel.
Well, you talked about that, about the whole trap of, do you recast the person who looks like them, or do you recast just a well-known actor or something like that? Mahershala Ali, before this news broke, Mahershala Ali was rumored to be in talks to take the role of Joe.
Oh, see, yeah, there you go. That would have been incredible too. I mean, again, you know, Pedro's a great actor, and I've seen him in a lot of different things that I like. But there are, you know, it's a question worth asking, I suppose.
Sure. Very excited for this still. I'm glad they're getting casting along, and it still seems like the production is steadily going along. So hopefully we'll get this sooner rather than
they
later.
seem committed for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they are. All right, we can move on to our next news story here. Godzilla vs. Kong director Adam Wingard set for Face Off remake.
Now, of us who has seen Face Off, because I confess I have not actually.
Wow.
I have not.
I have, but it's been a really long time.
I as a child got Face Off and Battlefield Earth confused a lot. So like they're not always the same, clear and different. There's not Battlefield
Which
Earth.
one's Battlefield Earth?
That's the one with John Travolta where he plays. It's based on the L. Ron Hubbard actual like series of galactic novels, I guess. Who's the guy that created Scientology, and John Travolta plays this giant alien with like a 6'4" head, basically. It's famous for being one of the biggest failures of all time. But like in my head, that's always linked to Face Off, just because I always know him as these crazy John Travolta performances. But Face Off is actually supposed to be pretty decent, right?
Good,
it's him and Nick Cage, and it's John Woo at his most wooiest. So there's a lot of doves and gold guns and everything.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a bit where and because I have this like memory, and I wonder if this is from where it's from. Is there a bit where like someone like holds a? How do they go about the Face Off process? Because the kind of thing is that you can wear anyone's face, right?
Yeah. So essentially, they just they end up swapping faces.
Is it surgical or is it like technical? Okay.
No, it's surgical. I think, as far as I can remember. Blake, do you remember?
You're probably gonna remember so much more.
I'm pretty sure it's surgical.
I've seen it,
but I guess my question is, you know, there's four of us here of varying ages, but all pretty close to the same, and none of us have a clear, abiding memory of this movie.
Yeah, I've seen this a couple of times, a handful of times, but I can honestly say my most recent viewing has not been any.
Yeah, like who's asking for this, and how are they planning to make money off
Justin?
this?
Well, maybe
Justin's
that
asking
means
for
it's
this.
the perfect time to reboot it.
But this is a direct sequel. It's not a reboot.
Better yet,
remake. It says remake in the headline here. I'm pretty sure they're rebooting it.
Gotcha. From what the news article that I saw was that originally it was said to be a remake, but now Adam Wingard has come out and said it's going to be a direct sequel. But maybe they're still kind of figuring it out.
This article I'm looking
who
at,
do you guys want?
says, but you could be right, Nathaniel.
I hope they just recast.
Yeah, get your.
Who do you guys want to see in this? Like, that's the question.
Go and get yourself a Tom Hardy and a Chris Pine again or something. Remake This Means War just as Face Off.
Nah, I want to see John Travolta and Nicolas Cage here.
They could be in it, but I don't want them to be just screaming at each other. God, what a set that would be. That would be fun.
I've seen a few things online. Online. Wow, not on land. That'd be weird. Online of a few people saying that it should be Tom Hardy should be one of the people in there.
That's incredible.
So I think he could nail something like this for casting.
He's kind of become the resident like new version of the Nick Cage, John Travolta, where he just has that sort of manic energy always under the surface.
Yeah.
It seems
He's great.
I think it's from Venom.
Yeah, I love him.
It might be. I always remember him from Bronson.
Yes, yeah, Bronson.
And then the one where he's a bootlegger.
Oh,
with Shia LaBeouf.
Lawless.
Yeah, Lawless. Those are like my two that I remember him from, and obviously Bane. But
Shia LaBeouf.
do you feel in charge?
My name is Charles Bronson.
I looked into it, Nathaniel. It looks like you're right. This is going to be a sequel.
Aha. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes gives the original 1997 film a 92%.
All right, we're watching it. Let's do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm suitably intrigued. I don't know how I missed this one growing up.
I don't either. Especially knowing people like Justin.
I can't really recall it, but
Yeah, I don't know. It just never.
got a ton
And
of
like Joe. This is probably a big one for Joe.
Yeah. Anyways, actually, this reminds me kind of. Never mind. I'll tell it a different time. We got a long episode. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Running late.
Well, the Face Off remake is actually a sequel, but what is getting rebooted is Paranormal Activity, which is in the reboot is in the works.
I don't like
from
that.
Will Eubank and Christopher Landon. Will Eubank being the Happy Death Day creator. I'm sorry,
swapped,
Christopher Landon
yeah.
from Happy Death Days. And then
Eubank did Underwater.
Underwater. Yep.
Don't like this at all.
Listen, I like both those guys, but I have no interest in the Paranormal Activity at this time, just because I feel like the last one was like 6 years ago, and it hasn't been long enough.
They're great movies. Yeah, it hasn't been long enough. They were kind of like one of the ones to like really kind of put that scare factor in theaters with like, you know, all the ghosts. It's on such a low budget. Like this movie the first one kicked ass.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And it did wonderful magical things for the horror scene.
Well, for found footage, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think this needs to be redone right now. This is stupid.
I just don't know how you make it any different from the first at this point, right? You almost have to make it a narrative story to differentiate itself at this point, because the found footage is a known entity at this point, right?
Yeah.
Blake, what do you think as the horror guy?
Yeah, I'm with Ty. I mean, I don't really care for this. I love those two guys though, but I don't really care. I can't even really tell you the actual timeline of the Paranormal Activities. I think I can kind of tell you up to the third one. Then after that, they just kind of go awry.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm not too big on it, but I'm sure they'll probably do relatively okay in the box office. But these are the horror movies that like your the people who don't even necessarily enjoy horror movies will go out to watch it just because it's a blockbuster name.
Yeah, for the name value.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. So I'm sure people go watch it theaters and they'll probably even get cleared to do a second one.
Right.
So,
I mean, and again, we're talking about it. We're pretty hard on this right away, almost because I think we're just kind of tired of the Paranormal Activity franchise. But as Blake pointed out, I am excited that both these guys are going to be the ones doing it. If anyone can take a shot at this, these are two good names to take a shot at this, you know. But
yeah, for sure.
Good point. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to our next news story here, because we got to keep chugging along. Disney remains committed to theatrical release for Black Widow. So, like Disney is not planning on putting Black Widow on Black Widow on Disney Plus anytime soon. They're gonna try to hold out for a theatrical release.
Yeah, that's not surprising, I guess, in some ways. We'll talk about it more in what we're watching later, but I actually went to the movie theater this weekend, and it was
dope.
it was actually surprisingly pretty busy. Like they were actually doing a little bit of business in there. There was more than I thought it was going to be. I'll put it that way. But so I'm not shocked by this news. I think Disney, particularly with Marvel, and wants to avoid a non-theater release at all costs.
Yeah.
So this doesn't shock me. I think if they feel like they can get any return on that, and I'm sure it has to do with the fact that the theaters have to buy the rights from Disney, and that's like at an exorbitant price, because as we kind of all know, theaters make almost no money off the actual films themselves that they show. They make 95% of their profit in accessories and
concessions.
Food. Yeah, so I'm sure that's definitely got something to do with it. But I do want to see this in theaters. I feel like I've got the taste back now. I've whetted my appetite.
Yeah. I was very jealous.
If we can do it safely and we can do it, where everyone, doesn't kill everyone.
We have the technology.
Yeah. Then please let's get movie theaters open again, because I'm dying.
Fiending.
I think you're right. I think they would make a ton more money putting this in theaters, but I also think that enough people would watch this if they did the thing that they did with Mulan, putting it on Disney Plus with a $30 paywall. I think they'd still get quite a bit of money on that.
Yeah, I heard rumblings, because Tyler and I were actually talking about this earlier. We watched the trailer for Raya and the Last Dragon.
So cool.
Which is the other Disney animated film that's coming out this year, and it comes out on like March 18th or something like that.
Which is funny because that's when Snyder Cut comes out.
Yeah, it's just not the same day. It's pretty close to it.
Yeah.
And they say that they're going to offer that with a fee, but it doesn't say that it's that $30 again. And I heard rumblings at some point that it may not be that expensive.
It's going to drop.
They thought that they had priced themselves out of the market with that,
especially for Mulan.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see if they do, because I think for like $15 I'd pay for it, but for $30 I'm going to go to the.
I'm going to wait.
I'm going to go to the theater if those are open.
I have A-list, bitch.
Sure. Well, I had to drop the B word like that.
'Cause don't make it inconvenient.
Because we're aggressive. We're passionate.
Yeah, well, this is still set to hit theaters May 7th of this year, so we'll see if that holds true.
All right.
All right, moving on. I guess it's going to be our last kind of set of news stories here, tying into both the Disney story and the casting of Pedro Pascal. But the other Mandalorian castmate that I referenced earlier is Gina Carano, who has gotten fired from her role as what's the character's name?
It's very similar to her last name.
Cara Dune, yeah.
Yeah, Cara Dune, there you go. She's been fired from The Mandalorian, and her the show that they were planning on making for her character has been canceled. Following some social media controversy as she posted some things online. She's a very public conservative and posted some things that Disney did not agree with. And I think a lot of people would not as well, and they let her go.
Yeah, I have thoughts.
Okay, what are they? What are your thoughts here, Nathaniel?
Well, this is a difficult one for me, for sure. As you guys know, and as maybe some of the listeners know, but I am a major MMA fan, and so I have known known Gina as a public figure for a lot longer than just on the Disney side of things in The Mandalorian. Yeah, she was one of the pioneers of female MMA. And is pretty well known in that world.
Yeah.
And a lot of the MMA media obviously kind of had things to say about it this week, and so it was a very heavy presence on my Twitter, for sure, because this is hitting two big spheres of Twitter that I frequent, which is MMA Twitter and film Twitter, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to do my due diligence, and I read exactly what she posted, and I read exactly who it was, and I've coming at it again from all of this kind of context. She's a person that, in my opinion, has definitely become more radical as things have gone on over the last year or so. You look back at some of her earlier posts, and you can see where it is, and even up to like the show earlier, I was reading her comments on things, and as this has kind of progressed, and I truly believe that Gina Carano is a person that has a kind heart, that has, as she's kind of demonstrated a lot in the past, but is falling into the kind of this gap where this area where she is a public figure and was never and is saying things that to a wider audience than I think she ever anticipated having, and also is doing so from a place not necessarily of the most foundation in education of all of the issues that she's interacting with, so what she posted and what was said is like there can be no distinction that was absolutely 100% the wrong thing to say and is 100% a fireable offense. And
okay, and really quick here, we should probably give some context in case you don't know what was said. She posted something, I believe it was on.
I was going to ask.
Okay, yeah, she posted something. I believe it was on Instagram or maybe Twitter.
She posted on Instagram a TikTok, a TikTok video that had been recorded and then put on TikTok. And the like basic paraphrase thing was an image of Jewish people leaving either a concentration camp or a ghetto, or excuse me, actually it was a Jewish image of a Jewish person running down the street and them having like rocks thrown at them or being beat up, and the text of it said like a lot of people, and again I'm paraphrasing here, but it was a lot of people don't realize that the Jews had to be beaten or basically that Germany had to turn the rest of the community against the Jews first in order to be able to round them up and put them obviously into the concentration camps. So, and then the next kind of line was a force turning everyone else against another person. What does that remind you of in today's society, kind of thing? And so the obvious comparison was that Gina was making was that for her conservative from her conservative mindset that they were being rounded up or society was turning everyone against them, basically. And
yeah, they boiled it down to, she shared a post that likened Republicans today being similar to Jews during the Holocaust. Basically, that's what it's been boiled down to.
And everyone's made that inference, which again, it's not that inference is there, and that inference is 100% a accurate reading of that.
Mm-hmm.
That is also not as simple as the comparison that's being made as the conservatives are the same thing as Jewish. The other side of this,
it's not illicitly saying that.
The other side of this too is that she was never fired. Her contract was up. They didn't. They chose not to renew her contract as well. Yeah. So I think Disney also kind of had her over a barrel here because they have obviously taken offense with things that she has said in the past
beforehand.
And the kind of. The kind of rumor mill has been that they were looking for one last thing to kind of set them off.
And
this was the thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a person that 100% believes that you should, if you are canceled or something like this, or you're, quote unquote canceled, or you face consequences,
cancel culture and all that.
If you face consequences for your action, you should absolutely also be able to work your way back from that.
Sure.
You're allowed to have second chances as a society, and if you're fully remorseful and understand where you're at, then you can do that too. There needs to be a way back from this too. For freedom from consequences, not freedom. You shouldn't be killed, basically. But she's doubled down basically and gone with Ben Shapiro's network and everything. Like that.
Now she got recasted for stuff for the Daily Wire.
After being let go from Disney or I mean, not really getting her contract renewed or whatever you want to say, and also getting dropped from her talent agency, UTA. She has signed on to make a movie with the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's media company. So she will be making some kind of film over there. Seems very excited about it. So
yeah, and so I read all of her kind of comments with that as well, and it's kind of this. Well, to tie it into the next story, what we were talking about earlier. Everyone's kind of immediate response was the Pedro Pascal has made a tweet in the past too, in which he tweeted a photo of the children that have been kept in isolation at the border crossing, and then also a photo of children in concentration camps in Germany, obviously. And then he had said, there is no difference, basically. And so now that has also become the other side of this as well, is that Pedro has made
I've not seen that.
put something else, and then rewarded with the role, and Gina had something and had that removed for her. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I think the difference is from the Gina post, the inference is made that, this is a thing that happened. Can't you see that this is now happening to us? Whereas the Pedro post was, this is a thing that is happening to other people. Isn't this similar to another thing that has happened to other people? So and deriving the outrage and that emotional reaction out of concern for another person rather than out of concern for yourself and your group of like-minded individuals. And that, I think, is the biggest distinguishing factor that between the two posts is not
I think
necessarily...
that's a very big factor as well.
Yeah, is not necessarily, the fact that an inference was made or an analogy was made, but it was the comparison you were making in terms of how you relate to it as well. So I hope I did kind of an accurate job of representing my thoughts on everything there, because it is something that affected me a lot. Obviously I've talked a lot now, so you guys can talk too.
I didn't even really see what she said, nor do I really know who this person is. I'm not the biggest MMA fan. I'm not
the biggest Star Wars fan.
Mandalorian fan. So, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, people are quick today, in today's society to cancel people. You know what I mean? There's a whole culture behind that. And yeah, people should kind of have their opportunities to be able to backtrack what they say and correct things. People all make mistakes, but yeah, I mean, if she's been on record doubling down, then that's kind of tough, So, but headlines are headlines, clickbait's clickbait. Obviously, she wasn't fired, like you said, right? They just opted to not renew. That's completely different than actually clean cut firing somebody mid project or whatever.
Right.
So I'm sure she'll bounce back.
And again, like, when you sign on to work for a company, you sign a board of ethics and a statute of what you're going to do, basically.
Yeah.
That's the same as if we work at Walmart or if you work in the film industry.
Fucking Best Buy.
Yeah, it's
right.
The shock and outrage at these things is not unjustifiable to me, or isn't.
Yeah, and it's not saying you can or can't say anything. You just got to work within a certain line of things.
And just
exactly.
you can and can't say say whatever you want.
And you're a public fucking figure,
right?
Yeah,
there's consequences.
It's a shame, man. Yeah, it sucks, and you fucking got to make your own. You got to lie in your own bed, man.
That's true. And again, like for me, the weird and the scary thing is that just seeing this person who I saw as like a pioneer and who, for everything that I've ever seen, is a good and solid person, and then to have this kind of really dark change that has kind of gone over the last few months is just a bummer.
It's like Morgan Wallen.
Yeah,
I fucking love Morgan Wallen, and like he makes great music, and I love everything that he does on an album. But when you drop an M-bomb, like you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You're an asshole.
Right.
Don't meet your heroes, kids.
For sure.
Adam, did you have anything? I know I explained a lot of my thoughts there, but did you have a kind of a thought as well?
I agree. It seems like you are more well-versed in the whole topic more than I am, because I saw this on Twitter as well, and but I'm not on the MMA side of it like you are, and I do know Gina Carano mainly from Mandalorian. I'm not a huge MMA person, so I think your perspective on this is more it's more educated than mine,
more enlightening.
Sure, yeah. But from what I've seen, I think Disney has a right to, it's like you guys said, you have a ethics that you have to work within, especially when you're a public figure, and if you want to have your politics by all means, but then when you start proclaiming these things that are a little more radical than maybe they should be, then I think there's going to be consequences for that.
Yeah, and Ariel Helwani, who's a great MMA journalist, kind of considered one of the top 10 or top 3 Mount Rushmore of MMA journalists, had a really interesting and thoughtful take on it and everything. If anyone wants to kind of like look that up, I encourage you to do that, because he is Jewish and has a lot of background in this kind of thing, and has also known Gina for many, many years. So that was a really kind of helpful take for me, and to kind of hear his thoughts on it. So if anyone's kind of curious on where the germination of my thoughts came from, that's definitely a good place to look to. But yeah, let's talk about fun things.
Yeah, like Zack
Snyder
Snyder's
cut.
We got some trailer talk for you here, guys. So we finally got a full trailer. Didn't we get a teaser about a month ago?
Did you know that we live in a society? Had you heard this? That we live in a society?
I have heard that we live in a society. That's crazy.
It's news to me.
Is it?
Nope.
Justice League, guys. What are your thoughts here? Ty, I'll go to you first.
We have a group me, and
of course,
I said jokingly like same movie ? I'm just curious as to how it's gonna turn out. I think everybody is. I think all the nerds of the DC world are very curious as to how this is gonna turn out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to I don't have any hopes. I don't have my hopes up. I don't have my hopes down. I'm just kind of going into this as clear as I possibly can. We are gonna watch the first Justice League before this comes out, and then I believe it's gonna be out on a Thursday.
Should we see if we can do Dawn of Justice beforehand too?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, the other side of this is like, huh?
You guys talking about like doing it on pod?
Tyler and I were just talking about for us.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I don't care. It's gonna be we're gonna rip into them, but I'm totally okay with that because we haven't done that in a while. But I have another group of friends who's very nerdy, like Ryan and Rob and Justin and Trevor and all those guys.
Frequent names on the podcast.
And they want to do a viewing of the movie together. And I volunteered our place up, so that's gonna happen. And I think it's on a Thursday, so we're gonna have to switch our schedule up and I want to take a whole Thursday off. Maybe we'll just do it Thursday, Friday.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun, regardless of the outcome. Because either way, we're gonna have fun because it's really good, or we're gonna have fun tearing it apart. So yeah,
sure.
Fair enough.
Man, I'm fascinated by this. There are so many just fucking wild choices in the trailer alone. Like, why is it in 4:3? Why is this an Academy ratio? I don't understand.
Is that just a trailer, or do you think?
I suspect the movie might actually be in it, which blows my mind on an elemental level just to begin with.
You think so?
Wild.
Like, yeah, I kind of do. Like, I wonder if it's maybe like a reshoot thing and to like hide the seams a little bit. I don't know. Maybe. I 100% think there will eventually be a version of this that you can watch in black and white because that just seems so Snydery to me.
Man.
What seems to be happening is that Superman in his dying moments in Dawn of spoilers for a 5-year-old movie at this point. Anyways, Superman in his dying moments of Dawn of Justice screams his essence into the universe, and then that draws Darkseid and everyone else to Earth. And at some point they're going to resurrect Superman. They got to get the gang together. Barry Allen has more scenes.
4 hours though.
It's 4 hours long. There's an intermission in the middle of it. There's an actual intermission, and the Joker's in it.
Yeah,
that was the selling point for me.
Yeah, well, Snyder released a picture of.
But I think that's the dream sequence.
Yeah.
I think that the whole thing is Batman going up to him and then like he's hallucinating the Joker being like all of a sudden kind of a rational individual because he's been so overpowered by Superman, which is an interesting take for sure. Like I'm fascinated by this. I don't think it's going to be good. There's no part of me that thinks
I don't see how it can be.
This will
but
narratively
I'm trying to keep the most open mind,
make a lick of sense
possible.
But yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Like I feel like I have to. Like I'm drawn in. He has succeeded in hypnotizing me into watching this film.
Have you seen the animated Justice League movies?
Justice League War, I have, and I think Justice League Doom. I want to say.
All right. I feel like those are probably going to be somewhat important in gathering how much information is here.
I'm furious that a Justice League movie is happening, and I like almost don't care about any of these characters.
It's not anywhere close to like the Avengers.
It's just not, right?
Yeah, it's not even on the same page.
Like we don't.
And it's a shame because some of this is happening after the fact, and obviously we know the outcome of Endgame and how epic that's been.
Yeah.
But the fact that we got a Justice League that everybody hated. I mean, I don't think I've met a single person that even cares for that movie.
Right.
Still haven't seen it. That's how little I care for it.
Yeah. I think it's a shame because
You're not
this is kind of
missing anything,
getting
dude.
put to the wayside because of that, which sucks. But Snyder
but like,
wants money, and B, he wants his cut.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even think we have to address that this all started because Zack Snyder stepped away from Justice League.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon came in and basically finished the cut. Now, it has been revealed later on that Zack had some personal issues that they were dealing with a family, a death in the family, basically. But there had always been rumors that WB didn't like the tone that they were going with after they had committed to this Zack Snyder tone already in the Dawn of Justice phase. And so this is what we see so often in the DC world, is this whiplash reactionism to the immediate thing that has come prior to it. Or if in the case of Suicide Squad, you change the entire fucking film based on people's reactions to the goddamn trailers.
It's incredible.
But
it's like Sonic.
I don't think this cut of the movie ever existed in any shape or form.
No.
I think Zack Snyder has taken every ounce of feedback that he has received on his own weird Vero social platform and just ruminated on this thing for the last 4 years and has now birthed this creation onto our screen, and I am fascinated to find out.
Do you think it's going to be better or worse than the first one?
I like, genuinely, I don't think this thing will narratively make any sense whatsoever.
Sure.
But it will be more coherent than that thing.
I hope it blows your mind.
I hope
because like we got 4 hours. I know the trailer was just a jumble of bullshit.
But I feel like this is like
4 hours though.
I feel like this is like my spirit journey.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing that will like take me to the higher plane of existence is just like forcing myself to engage with this movie on the day of it. It feels almost ritualistic.
I'm hyped. I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more excited the more we talk about it, just because like the more you think about the length of this movie being 4 hours, there's people that jam pack a lot into 2 hours, hour and a half, and
Snyder's one of them.
To have 4 hours to with an intermission to basically have 2 movies, which I think this is essentially going to turn into. I don't know. I think shoot your shot, player.
I mean, yeah. What? Look, at the end of the day, we have it. Like, this is gonna be a thing.
Yeah, I'm getting the Steelbook regardless whether I like it or not.
Oh God! Oh no.
Adam.
I mean, like I said, I haven't seen the first one. I will probably watch the first one before watching this because at this point I have to. I think I'm just so intrigued. This is gonna be so wild to see someone just take something that's taking a pile of garbage and either lighting it on fire or somehow creating a piece of art out of it. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably get to Justice League at some point.
You have to.
Is the first one on HBO Max?
Yeah.
I saw it the other day.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is.
That's what I thought.
Along with Man of Steel.
Yeah, Man of Steel.
Superman.
I'm pretty sure they have Dawn of
Man of Steel's not bad, man. That movie's
I like
better
Man of
with
Steel.
Someone told me recently, or I heard it on another podcast. They made the observation that Warner Bros. Thinks that Batman is the only member of the Justice League that makes them any money, and so like that's the only thing that they prioritize, basically. And then when they finally get something that does make them a ton of money in Wonder Woman, they have no idea how to handle it afterwards. And they are so Batman rooted with everything that they
Makes
do.
sense. That's like any like DC fan though, for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just like they were talking. They were bringing up. I remember who it was. It was the Weekly Planet. They were talking about other members of the Justice League, and you have characters like Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, who like most people have no idea who they are.
No idea.
But they're
just said those 2 words, and I've never heard of those people before.
Right? They have this.
They're incredible.
These great backstories.
Incredible.
Dr. Fate, Zatanna,
So
Zatara, Swamp Thing, all these crazy insane things, and yet all we always get Batman,
Yep.
Superman. We're lucky we get Wonder Woman, but you realize Wonder Woman really didn't exist before 2017. You know, there's never been a Wonder Woman game.
Yep.
There's never been a Wonder Woman centric,
or like Aquaman or
right, exactly.
Flash. Flash just recently got big, and that's only because of the TV show.
But you look at Marvel, takes Iron Man, arguably a B-list character at the start of 2008, and now has turned them into easily one of their most profitable.
100%.
Number 2 probably behind Spider-Man, maybe Captain America.
Yeah.
You know, Thor was not a well-known property. The Avengers weren't.
No.
You know, and it's crazy to me
unless
that
you were in the comic book era,
right?
Like if you read anything about comic books, you knew what was going on, and then essentially it just kind of all came out.
Right. But you could go to the middle of, you know, of darkest India and say the word Superman, and someone's gonna know
100%.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you say Thor or you know Captain America. You know, Captain America might not be a great example here.
Question
But
question for the console here. If we're on the topic of Warner Bros. And what they're doing with DC, do you think there's a way they can recover from where they are right now? Or should they just start from the beginning? Or have they recovered from Justice League with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and a few of these others?
Nah, I don't think you fully recovered. You gained some traction maybe, but you're going after a very specific crowd.
I think they just need to accept, if they want to continue the Snyderverse, I'm okay with that. In the HBO Max format here.
Sure.
If you want to keep setting stuff in there. And,
I see what you're saying.
But if you keep the same actors, but just let them do solo stuff that isn't in any way related, like a Joker, like a you know, a Shazam that's not really connected to anything, or even a Wonder Woman 84 had it been an actually good movie, I think would have been, you know, more.
So you admit that it's not.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
I was about to say.
It's not like here was my point all along.
I know.
For the record, for the 150th fucking time, it is not a good movie, but it's not any worse than Batman v Superman or Justice
I don't have
League
a problem with Batman vs.
or anything. Neither do I. That's my point. It is literally the exact same.
All right, well, let's move on here. We've been at this for a while, and we're pushing the clock here, boys. Let's get to news streaming here quick. It's gonna be your news streaming for the week of February 14th through the 20th. Netflix doesn't really have anything coming for you. Amazon has got Sonic the Hedgehog,
Sick.
which I have not seen.
Have any of you guys seen that?
Decent.
I have seen that.
I've seen
That's
it.
one with Jim Carrey's in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
He's great.
Oh. Hulu, they got The Shape of Water, Academy
Excellent
Award
film.
winner,
Great
winner
movie.
from 2017. Also, the Sonic the Hedgehog, so they're getting that too, and Nomadland, the 2021 flick with Frances McDormand. Did I get that right, Nathaniel? That's coming to HBO. Sorry, that's coming to Hulu. So go ahead and watch that there. HBO Max is getting The Batman, Hot Ones Season 1, which I believe is just that YouTube series. I think they're getting Season 1 onto HBO Max, which is kind of cool. And then Argo, 2012 extended version.
Cool.
Which I've not seen, but I've heard is really good.
It is.
All right. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll check it
it's good past the fact that Ben Affleck cast himself as a Hispanic man. But
I'm pretty sure you can do anything.
I mean, it's a great movie besides that.
Disney Plus is getting WandaVision episode 7.
Sweet.
The Muppet Show seasons 1 through 5. And Cheaper by the Dozen 1 and 2.
Haven't you talked about those are like one of your formative movies?
I don't know how.
I feel like we talk
I
about this every time it gets added onto some streaming service.
I've watched those movies so many times as a kid. I don't know why, but I just always watched them. I've seen both of those probably.
Yeah. So when you think of I wanted to say Martin Lawrence, Steve Martin. You think of Cheaper by the Dozen.
I think of Cheaper by the Dozen. I also think of
Two very
the Pink
different
Panther
people.
movies.
Okay.
Yeah. His Pink Panther movies, but I know he's got way more than that, and I've seen a lot more than that. But those are like
those
my
your frame of reference.
heuristics.
Yeah.
My go-to whenever I think of Steve Martin. Those are like the two movies that I think of him as.
Very interesting. Did you just drop an ACT word there?
That was a psychology term. Yeah, heuristic.
Heuristic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's HEURISTIC. If you want to look that up.
Adam.
Yeah, you're not the only one that can throw words around, Nathaniel.
Yeah. That education's paying off, man.
Yeah. I'll keep that one in my back pocket.
Yeah, I don't know if it's justified the cost of the education there, Blake, but it's paying off in some regards. All right, what we're watching, you guys. Ty, Nathaniel, you guys want to kick us off as usual?
Initial D.
Yeah, so we decided that we were gonna start a new anime.
Okay.
And I'm a big car person, and Initial D has been a very special anime that I hold very dearly. And it was one that we had on the docket, and I was like, we could throw on an episode, see how you like it. And I think we're episode 4 or 5?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And I love it. I'll never say anything bad about it. The animation's obviously like clearly early 90s.
Wild.
But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
cicadas have made a return.
The cicadas are I never not noticed them after Evangelion.
Yeah, same.
The animation is definitely the wildest thing for me because it is a very distinct hand-drawn style in which everyone has these kind of like weird fish lips, but they're fascinating to look at. And then all of the racing scenes are this kind of very early 90s CGI, and it is hard cuts between the two of them. And I kind of love it. It took some getting used to.
Yeah.
For sure. But whatever, right? It's a cool story. I'm having a good time with it. Enjoying it.
Yeah, it's cool because not a lot of people get to see this side of anime. I was telling Nathaniel, this is not your magic fairy tale, kind of involved anime. This is not superheroes or anything like that. This is just like dudes racing on a mountain in Japan. Right. So it's very it's known as more of like a drama anime.
It's grounded.
Yeah, versus something fantastical.
Yeah, your traditional shonen
What
style.
are you guys watching that on?
Funimation.
Okay.
But I think it's also on
It
Hulu.
might be on Hulu.
Yeah.
I own them as well. Friends.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead.
Where are you at with that right now?
Season 8, episode 9 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. You're way ahead of me now.
Yeah, I'm getting to the end. I think it's got 10 seasons. So yeah, I'm getting there. Still love it. WandaVision, which we'll get into. Leah and I got to a couple movies. I had Sunday and today off, which doesn't typically happen for me. I originally was supposed to have Tuesday off, but some things got switched around, and so I had a pretty good weekend. I went to Shit Aquarium, which was great. That's what Leah and I did our Valentine's Day for, so that was very cool. I haven't been there God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't been there probably since I was in grade school.
Yeah, so that was really fun. I'm a big aquatic fan. I always said if I could go back to school and actually apply myself, I'd probably go to school to be a marine biologist. But yeah, my sister and I, every time we get together, we're like, I'm a shark spurt. No, I'm a shark spurt. And then we like quiz each other. So yeah, that was really fun. I spent a lot
Favorite
of time
animal while
downstairs. While I was there was a really big sea turtle. She was beautiful. She was just chomping on some lettuce.
Just chilling. Does she have a big tank?
It's in like the middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's I think it's called the Caribbean Reef.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It's like that one you right when you first go.
Yeah,
in,
it's
right?
like the center. It's like the
it's the showpiece.
atrium. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How old
So that
was
was
she?
really cool. I have no idea. There was like nobody around to answer questions.
Noggin.
Dude. Gee, man, what else was there? Cool stingrays. I touched a fish when I was there. Don't tell anybody. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I don't give a shit.
FBI, open up.
I think one of my other favorite parts was as big of a shark person that I am, I like very big sharks. I would love to go sit in a cage and scuba dive and be surrounded by like great whites or like tiger sharks. I think that would be epic. But I think while I was there, the beluga whales were really cool.
Oh yeah, they are fun.
Seeing something that big that lives in the water is majestic in itself. So it was very cool. And they're beautiful. They're like piano gloss white. They They
look like a speaker.
They're incredible. Yeah, pretty much. They look like a Kef blade.
A Kef blade. That'll be a fun reference for about 8 people.
So yeah, after that, Leah and I came home. We had a really good time there. But we got into a movie called The Lucky One, which is Zac Efron. Leah was very upset at the score I gave it. I gave it like a 5.5. I think that's what it's worth.
It's a Nicholas Sparks one.
Yeah.
If that means anything to you folks.
It was cute though. The acting and the writing was just kind of meh for me, which is why I got the score that it did. But it was a cute movie. I got to one of my top 10, which is Backdraft, which I watched this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Leah and I came
on?
out here. HBO Max.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah. So that's a movie that I like grew up on. My dad was a fireman. I was a fireman. My grandpa was a fireman. My uncle was a fireman.
Kurt Russell was a fireman.
Kurt Russell is a dad of all dads.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah. And so yeah, that was really touching. I love that movie. I think it's incredible. I think it's really well done. It's about firefighting, in case you didn't catch that. But then there was a point in the movie where I like it always gets me. And Leah like looks up and she's like, "You crying?" I'm like, "I'm not crying."
What was it in? Is it Volcano or is it
Dante's Peak?
Dante's Peak with the guy.
He just jumps in.
Jumps into the lava.
Incredible.
Oh man, if you haven't seen it, watch. I can't remember which movie it is.
I'm pretty sure it's Dante's Peak because I think it's in the subway scene, isn't it?
YouTube a hero's sacrifice and then put either Dante's Peak or Volcano. But it is the guy. If you've ever seen Zodiac, it's one of the. Or if you've seen American Horror Story, it's the guy that plays Twisty the Clown. Is this he's this subway worker and there is lava going down the subway track, and basically you follow him as he tries to get everyone off of the car as the car is melting around him, and then eventually he picks up a person and like bodily
heaves
like
them.
yeah
Wait,
like shot
I've
puts
seen this.
shot puts them across the gap and then like tries to jump himself and lands in the lava and then just screams as he descends
Shrinks.
into
It's so
lava.
funny because it's like a fucking puddle.
But yeah, it
of
sounds
lava.
so much more viscerally terrifying than when I describe it to you than when you'll actually watch it.
Yeah,
but
you'll
it's
laugh.
one
What
of the
movie is this?
funniest things. It's either Volcano or Dante's Peak. I genuinely can't
I
remember.
think it's
I
Dante's
remember
Peak.
seeing this movie in like the 3rd grade and just being like in awe of that scene. I was like, "Oh my god, that's what lava does to you."
So
Holy
yeah,
crap.
Backdraft was really fun.
Yeah, sorry. So it's this huge emotional moment in the movie, and that's what makes me think of
That's
Backdraft,
funny.
because they're kind of a similar vein of like manly men,
Sure.
like dealing with life.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go watch that clip. It's hilarious.
And then watch Backdraft.
Yeah, great movie. So after the aquarium, we watched Finding Nemo because why
Obviously.
not? Right? I'd be stupid not to. Finding Nemo's Finding fucking Nemo.
Have you seen Finding Dory?
Of course.
I have not.
It's arguably better.
I was about
It's
to say the
very
same thing.
good.
Oh,
High praise.
Yeah.
It's close. Yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
Finding Dory's good. That came out. What's that? Like 2016. I know I was in
Something like
college.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I saw
recent.
that.
I think I had just moved back because that's the reason why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
For some reason.
2016.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Finding Nemo though.
I quote both of those very frequently, so
That's true. I mean, they're quotable movies. Finding
They're
Nemo was
incredible.
my brother's favorite for like a good 5 years of his life, so that's a movie I have.
What does he do?
My
To
favorite.
touch the butt,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna touch the butt.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys made me ink.
I really like the Ray teacher.
Yeah.
Let's stay
Yeah.
in the zones, the zones,
Oh, nothing's happening
Oh,
here.
yeah,
Everyone,
yeah.
gather over here. Yeah, he's great.
And even the irony of what's the main character? Is it Melvin?
Marlin.
Marlin, the
Marvin.
clownfish.
Marvin is his name. Yeah.
Marlin.
He's a
Marlin.
clownfish, and they try to get him to like tell a joke, and he's just not funny at all.
Yeah. You know, for a clownfish, he's really not that funny. Pity.
Yeah. That's a classic.
Yeah. We just recently started a TV show today, which is called Crime Scenes. It's about this hotel in like downtown LA.
Yeah, Hotel Cecil, right?
Yeah. And it's pretty crazy. And we only got through the first episode. So
Ooh. Is that the show that's about there's a huge mystery behind a woman who they think that there's some type of supernatural forces behind it, right?
Yeah.
There's like an elevator scene.
yeah. Yep.
Is that show?
Yep.
So
Okay,
I
yeah.
remember
that case is bizarre, dude. If you've ever done any research on that, I don't know if you guys have.
I remember when
but-
that video came out. I
I'm
was
about
like,
to.
Yeah, me too, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I remember being like that actually happening and being part of like the viral thing of like seeing the video and being like, what happened here?
Wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've heard mixed things on that actual show itself. I think I've heard some people find it ends up being a little bit exploitative. I've heard other people thinking that it's a little bit more humanizing, and it's actually a pretty nuanced take. So I'll be interested to see what you think of it at the end of it and kind of where your thoughts end up
Yeah,
on it.
first episode's got me
What
pretty
was that
hooked.
joint
So.
called again, Tyler?
Crime scenes,
Crime scenes.
or I guess just
that on
crime
Netflix?
scene. Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's number one right now.
Gotcha.
That's how we saw it. And Leah and I have this wild obsession with crime scene, crime anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that case is nuts, dude. I think you'll like it.
yeah, I think I will too. I'm really hyped. And then arguably Justin's favorite movie, Iron Man 3. So.
Did you get my
Podcast.
text?
Did, yes.
Iron Man 3.
I like Iron Man 3. I'll go on record saying it.
It's great.
Fight me, Justin.
I don't know about great.
It's great.
It's pretty good.
I love anything that has to do with Iron Man. So
There you go.
I think he's the best superhero ever.
Oh, okay.
Shots fired, DC.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I-
Is that the end of your list?
Yeah, yeah.
So going off my list here, one I didn't get to last week, but that I did watch last week that I didn't tell you guys about was Hunt for the Wilder People, which is Taika Waititi's first feature-length film, I want to say. It stars Sam Neill and the kid from Deadpool 2. It's really great. It's set in New Zealand. You can watch it on HBO Max, I want to say. Go watch it if you're interested in Taika Waititi and his brand of comedy and kind of film in general. I did watch As Above, So Below. So kind of continuing on from our thread last week in which I watched Underwater after Blake had brought it up. And then now I'm watching As Above, So Below after Blake had brought it up.
What'd you think, man?
Really fun, actually. I enjoyed it
Yeah.
a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was, I really like the angle that they take on it. So if you're not familiar with that, it's kind of like a Tomb Raider style, almost documentary, as this group goes below the catacombs in Paris and then slowly realize that they may or may not be descending the different layers of hell. It's really kind of an interesting take on the found footage genre, kind of as we were talking about earlier. They definitely cheat some shots where you're like, you couldn't actually do that if you were all doing found footage, but most people aren't going to notice that, just really weird nerds like me. But overall, of the found footage genres, better story, interesting. It is kind of, I've strangely in another walk of life done a lot of research on the Inferno and the kind of the Divine Comedy in general. It is one of the classes I took in school. So there's a lot of kind of symbolism there that I enjoyed and could kind of interact with for sure. All the actors are pretty good. Overall, good horror movie. If you like that kind of thing, go check it out. I watched No Country for Old Men this week as well. First time getting back to that one probably since I actually saw it when it came out, and which is interesting because I think at the time I was much younger. That's 2007. So No Country for Old Men was a movie that I knew I should like, and I could tell had a lot of really interesting things to say, but I had not kind of progressed past the basic storylines of film yet, and didn't really understand why the things it was saying and how it said them were so significant. So definitely watching that again for the first time since then, after going through school and hearing so many other people talk about it, was definitely an eye-opening experience. I think I still need to give it another rewatch to finally fully get my final thoughts on it. But it does tie well into the other thing I watched this week, which is Nomadland, actually.
You did get that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I saw in theaters, actually.
Okay.
So yesterday.
What theater did you go to?
AMC, the one over by us.
South
actually.
Barrington.
Yeah.
So that's open?
It is, yeah.
It is open for some very select things. I really want to go see Lord of the Rings in IMAX, and I can't seem to find a time that is
It's
even
working for everyone.
realistic.
Yeah.
I don't even. I'll go by myself. I don't care. I love those movies, especially to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, so when Tyler and Carolia were at the aquarium yesterday, I was back here at the apartment because our heat actually went out this weekend. And so I was trying to find out the cause of that. And obviously, I didn't expect to do that during the day, so I ended up needing to find other things to do during the rest of the day. And so I found out that the movie theater was open, and I saw that they were playing Nomadland, and I went and checked it out.
Not bad.
Yeah, it was a good time. If you're curious about that film, stars Frances McDormand. She this is one of the ones that is actually on the front runners to be an Oscar contender this year. She will definitely
talked about last week with the Golden Globes.
Yeah, she will definitely win. I think for best lead role, she kind of really disappears into that. I don't know. It may be one that we can do for the pod since we have seen it, since it is coming on Hulu or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to talk about it more because I do actually have a lot of thoughts about it. But we're pressed for time, and I don't want to go into them now. So that's all I would say besides the one that we did for besides Judas and the Black Messiah, and that's it.
Not bad. At least you're able to get to a movie theater, man.
It was so great. Myself. I couldn't. For me, going back to the movie theater, that was so much fun, and everyone wore a mask. It was really nice. I actually saw it in IMAX. That was really cool. It was just, it was a great experience for myself and to be actually back there and everything. And I hope we get to continue to do so. But I really want to see. They're showing Promising Young Woman as well, which is getting a lot of buzz among film circles as well too.
I will the last week, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of think I might check that out again because I reactivated A-List, which is a great deal. Everyone should do.
Gotcha.
What about Blake, Adam? What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, I'll toss it to Blake.
Okay, yeah. I'll go in here. I had a week. Was able to get to a few things. Still been watching Batman Beyond on HBO Max, and now on like season 2, episode 8 or something of that nature. Like I said, that's just kind of my late night joint to something on while I'm going to sleep. Then I end up getting to 2 different movies. 2 I've actually been meaning to get to for some time. One of them is the taking of Deborah Logan. So I've watched that. That's a found footage horror film. I believe it's Russian. But it's kind of been, if you're like in any horror circles and things of that nature, it's got a pretty good cult following of being one of the better found footage like possession movies. And I actually found it on Tubi or Amazon Prime, excuse me. I believe I caught it Wednesday night or something. Not bad though. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of that. Nathaniel, have you heard of that film?
You said The Taking of Deborah Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of conceit of that is that the Deborah Logan has dementia. Is that kind of the thing? And you kind of realize that that the symptoms for dementia and demonic possession are also kind of similar to each other.
Very similar. Yeah. So it's good. It's got a little twist at the end.
I've heard it's good for sure.
Yeah, it's really not bad for found footage and kind of what they do with it. It was really well. So that's directed by an Adam Robideau, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I might not have the correct tone on that. But he's also done a few things. He's done Escape Room, and he also did the last Insidious, which is Insidious the Last Key.
Okay.
Didn't really care for that one. I've seen Escape Room, though. It's pretty good. And then the big film I got to so I actually ended up getting to Saint Maud.
Where did you see it?
So that's stream. So it's in select movie theaters. So the only movie theater I thought was open before you just told me AMC was there's a Marcus Theater in Elgin.
Sure.
It's a little bit closer my way, but they didn't have it there. So they end up putting it on. It started streaming on Epix now. That started on the
weird that 13th. It didn't go to Amazon because it is an A24 movie, right?
Yeah, and Amazon Prime has almost everything for A24.
Right. That's weird for me.
So I ended up getting a subscription through them. It was like $1 for the first month. You know what I mean? It's something nature. So I ended up watching that Friday though, and that's directed by Rose Glass. It's kind of her first debut film.
As good as you were expecting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend everyone here to watch it. If you're a fan of Hereditary, or if you're a fan of anything A24 does of that type of horror, you know what I mean?
This is
I think you'll get a kick out of it.
A24 is still just like they're the only studio nowadays that just genuinely scare the shit out of me all the time, and I just know this is gonna scare the shit out of me. I've worked so hard to develop such a thick skin to horror movies, and now I'm just gonna be scared again.
Yeah, it's good. It cuts deep. So kind of the play on that one is that there's a young lady who ends up being a hospice nurse, taking care of the terminally ill. She's a newly devout Catholic. She's very, very religious, and the person she's taking care of is an atheist. So that's kind of the play on that. So you see their interaction of how they are around each other, and her trying to push the religion on other people. It's really good though. I think you guys will like it. It's got a good twist at the end. And there's about 2 scenes in there that are like up there with like your Hereditary, your Midsummer, so where it's like that just genuinely like just scared the shit out of me. You know,
Yeah.
it's just very unsettling. It's those type of scares where you kind of know what they bring to the table. But yeah, that's what I got too. So that's on Epix now. If any of you guys want to do that, like I said, it's $1 for 1 month, and then after I think it's like $5.
Yeah.
But there's some pretty good movies on there that I remember scrolling through. I think they had some of the Matrix on there. They had something else on there.
Yeah, one
pretty big blockbuster film they had on there too. But it was surprising because it's my first time going on Epix, but they got a good catalog of movies.
Yeah, at one point they supplied like a lot of the library for Netflix, I want to say. So when they kind of broke off, that was a bigger deal for most folks.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I got to, and then end up getting to Judas and the Black Messiah. Kind of had some technical difficulties with that one. On HBO Max, had a ton of problems with that. But yeah, that's kind of all I watched. Taking Deborah St. Maud. I'd recommend both of those. And yeah, I guess I'll push it over to Adam.
Yeah, I got a few things, but I'll try to get through them quick because we're pushing time once again.
Yeah, for sure.
Attack on Titan, keeping up with that.
Nice.
Still caught up, still loving it. Yeah, there's that. I got for my film class, I watched Rear Window last week.
Love it.
Yeah, my first time watching it, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really, really good.
It's amazing.
The whole narrative, I guess the whole lesson of last week was mise en scène. Nathaniel, I'm sure you're very familiar with that.
Yep, it just means what's on screen.
Yeah, it really does. It sounds fancier than it is. But I think that was a great choice for that.
For sure.
For that, as an example of mise en scène. It was really good. Really liked it. Very unique in its storytelling and setting and everything like that. I will save that other movie for next week because I watched this week's film class movie Saturday. I usually watch them Monday, so I'll just save it for next week.
Okay.
Also, still chugging along with Big Bang Theory, just kind of watching that at night as my more relaxation show. I watched bits and pieces. I was in and out of the room while my friend was watching Inception for the first time, actually.
Wow. That's
I was shocked
interesting
too.
One.
Yeah, so I watched a little bit of that, and he was mind blown. And it was great to see his reaction and everything and talk to him after the movie and to kind of explain some things to him because we've had so much time to talk that movie out, and I was kind of just giving him all of that stuff. I was catching him up on what's been said. So that was fun.
Did you just hand him a subscription?
Sorry, what'd you say?
I'm sorry. Did you just hand him a subscription to or a link to our episode on it? I'm just like, this is all you need to know.
Yeah. And then I started Demon Slayer. I'm only 1 episode in, but I wanted to start up anime. And I was up late the other night, and I was like, I want to watch one more thing before I go to bed, and threw that up. So I like it so far, but I'm only 1 episode in, so it's kind of hard to say.
Demon Slayer is pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've heard nothing but good things, so
you'll like it.
You will.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, well, we can move on into our main review of the episode, Judas and the Black Messiah. Nathaniel, if the viewers here, or I guess listeners here, are new, or maybe they just forgot. Can you give them a rundown of our review segment here on Back
Give
Row
him a
Banter?
rundown.
I'll give you a rundown.
Run that shit down.
I'll run it down right now.
Run it down, man.
So basically how it works on Back Row Banter when we're doing our main review segment is I will introduce the film to you, kind of go through its IMDb page, who's in it, when it came out, all that good stuff. We'll give it the IMDb summary for you guys. And then at that point, from then on, we will decide whether we can recommend this movie for you, yes or no. It has to be a yes or no because there is no nuance on the internet. From then on, there will be the rest of the plot if there are any major spoilers or anything. So if you want to avoid anything like that and kind of our deeper thoughts on the movie, go ahead and come back later. We'll mark it in the time stamp for you and everything. But then we'll go deeper into, like I said, our main thoughts on it, kind of what our experiences was and where we kind of think it overall fits and, what it has to say, maybe some deeper criticism. Who knows? You'll have to wait and see. And then we'll come back to see where everything ranks on our Entropy list, which is our big ranking of movies and everything that we've watched on pod. So that being said, Adam, do you want to hit us with the Judas and the Black Messiah IMDb summary for us?
Sure thing. The story of Fred Hampton, chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party, and his fateful portrayal by FBI informant William O'Neill.
Thank you very much.
I think that's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it says on the tin. So this is Judas and the Black Messiah. It just came out. It is featuring on HBO Max now, or you can see it in theaters. It stars Lakeith Stanfield, who you will know from many, many things recently, notably Get Out, and also Daniel Kaluuya, who is also in Get Out as the lead.
Yep.
So two pretty much kind of the next up-and-coming name, it feels like, particularly with actors and of that generation, for sure.
Yeah.
But then you also have Jesse Plemons. Martin Sheen is in this movie as well. It's directed by a gentleman named Shaka King, who I mostly know from, it sounds like, television or kind of second unit directing and that kind of thing as well. I didn't get a good look at his stuff. But it is based off a true story, and as Adam was kind of saying earlier, it revolves around these two main characters, one of whom is the leader of the Black Panther Party, and the other of whom is the FBI informant charged with bringing him down, basically.
Leader of the Black Panther Party in Chicago. This
So
Chicago in the 70s.
It is,
60s, 70s.
It is set in the Chicago area, so it does kind of strike home for us, I think.
I was gonna say, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely close to home.
But yeah, what are your guys' initial thoughts and kind of things, going in as far as we can without going too spoilery here for everything? Were you guys familiar with Fred Hampton's story? Because I know, Blake, you said you might have been. I definitely was not.
Yeah,
I was not.
Yeah, I'll kind of speak first because, like I said, I didn't get a chance to finish the movie. I mean, I did a little bit when we were talking. I kind of had it on mute, obviously, looking at subtitles. I was a little bit familiar with the Fred Hampton story in general. Where the movie was going so far, I mean, I genuinely liked it. I really like Lakeith Stanfield. A lot. I think he's a great actor. So yeah, it's I'm curious of kind of how they made it play out. But yeah, the overall story is, I mean, it's very sad. It's unfortunate, but that is the reality of how times were then. So it's not surprising at all, that something of that nature's happened.
Yeah, if you've paid attention to history or if you're aware of the story, you know how this ends in some ways, and it is pretty evident in the title. So maybe we'll save that for the spoiler section, but knowing you can kind of maybe figure out where this is going on there, knowing where the civil rights and everything. But anyways, Adam, go on, continue.
I was not familiar of the story before watching this, but I think this movie is amazing. I think this, I mean, from when the movie started to really the final text on the screen that it ends with, I was just sitting there gripped. And there are some scenes that are way more tense than others, but for the most part, I was really into this movie the whole time. The whole 2 hours and 6 minute runtime.
Sure.
And I was gripped the whole time. I thought it was really good. The acting is phenomenal. Daniel Kaluuya absolutely deserves every award he gets nominated for. I think he was just incredible in this movie. And I can get into more of the specific scenes and parts where I felt like he really stood out. But Lakeith Stanfield is really good in it too. I love Jesse Plemons. Anytime I see him in anything, I think he's just a really great character actor.
I forgot. I felt the same way too when I saw him on screen. I was like, oh, I love that guy. And I couldn't think of his name at all. That I had to look at the credits and everything.
Yeah. I like anytime he shows up. But yeah, this movie is amazing. If you can go see it either honestly, yeah, if you can go see it in theaters, I really wish I was able to. Eh, but I wasn't. So if you can go see it in theaters, I think it's worth the theater trip. But if you just need to watch it on HBO Max, do that if you need to, because this movie is really good.
Yeah, this was I thought this was really great. I was not overly familiar with this happening or
Sure.
anything of this beforehand. So it was really cool to kind of see it from start to finish. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of things to be said. I think that's one of the biggest things we've been hitting on throughout this month. And it's brought a lot of things to light. I think for a lot of people, if you've been following along at home and watching what we've been watching, it's really great to kind of see this part of like our culture and like what happened. And I think it's really crazy, the whole story that goes through all this, and how he gets himself into these certain situations. And we'll talk about it a little bit more during the spoilers, but yeah, I agree, Adam. I think Daniel deserves a lot of awards. I've seen him in a lot of different things, and he's really great in pretty much whatever he does. He put on some weight for this one. He looks like a big boy.
Did he though?
I feel like he did. I feel like he's
I
usually.
think a little bit.
I think a lot of that is costuming, but we'll talk about that later.
Sure. I did want to bring up Dominique Fishback. She does a phenomenal job. She's incredibly well spoken. I think that's something that really comes into light during this too, is the empowerment of women and kind of like what they're going through at this time, especially being a black female at this point in time. So yeah, I think all that's really important. I think it was really great. Acting was awesome. Writing was awesome. There was a lot of cool scenes to where you really get to see like where it pulls you in, and then where you can kind of relax a little bit, and then where you find out things are going to be more tense. And yeah, I mean, it's a recommend for me.
Yeah, I'm recommend for sure. On our kind of our yes or no scale, I definitely had some more issues, I think, with the film than it sounds like the rest of the group.
How dare you, Nathaniel?
I know it. But most of them genuinely are things that I think most people will say are nitpicks or anything like that. It's kind of criticism of the form itself, or some of the function that they create, rather than the story that they're telling or anything. For sure, we've already referenced, the acting in this is next level. I do feel like this is the kind of dawning of the next generation of actors that we're going to see for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
These are two guys, and Dominique Fishback too, and Jesse Plemons. All of them are great in this. But there is an intensity to their roles that they have brought to screen so far, that they're getting better each time, that they are, obviously they're both being black actors. I feel like both of them have been kind of encountering this theme of blackness quite a lot in their work, particularly because that has been such a present form of commentary for the last few years, and hot button issue, if you want to call it like it is, or call it that, basically. So you have Lakeith Stanfield with Get Out and Sorry to Bother You, and there's another one that he did as well. But and also Daniel Kaluuya.
I can try to find it for you.
Daniel Kaluuya with Get Out, and you kind of both of those.
He's in Knives Out, and he's in Selma.
Knives Out is what I was thinking of as well too. I think.
I forgot he's in that. Yeah.
But yeah, he's been popping up on everything recently. So they're both just powerhouses in this, and it's a great showcase for both of them. The directing, I think, it has a really nice kineticism to it. There's a great moment. I think it's when Daniel Kaluuya, later on in the movie, when he's going up a staircase, and it's shot from straight ahead on him as he's kind of ascending the staircase, and it's this great vibrant kinetic shot that you have in it. So he brings a nice sense of pace, a nice sense of building blocks of the film in there. His fundamentals are pretty good, but I do have some issues with writing, some issues with kind of how some characters are portrayed. I don't necessarily agree that Dominique Fishback's character is a great example of a well-written woman. I think she's got she definitely holds down some of the emotional beats, and Fishback brings in a great performance to it.
Yeah.
But she is really relegated in the second half of this movie.
I could agree to that.
I definitely agree with that.
A lot less of a role than you were kind of introduced to her at the start of the film.
Yeah.
Because it starts as a movie almost with 3 leads,
Yeah.
and then it rapidly cuts her stuff down. But yeah, it's definitely a recommend for me. Pretty much everything else I think we'll talk to after the spoiler break for sure. So Tyler recommend, Nathaniel recommend.
Yeah.
Guessing both you guys are on the recommend train as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anything else anyone wants to get out before spoilers?
Go see this, please. I think it's really timely. I think it's really good. I think you'll get something out of it. So if you can, please go watch this.
All right. Spoilers from here on out.
Play your little spoiler noise. Actually,
what was the spoiler noise that we did last week?
Last year you did the scary one, but
Okay.
yeah, if you don't want this movie spoiled for you, if you have not seen Judas and the Black Messiah yet, which is probably a good chance you haven't since just came out, but go ahead and check the episode description. You can skip to when we rank this movie up upon our entropy list.
Hop upon.
Up upon. All right, spoiler time, Nathaniel. Where's our little jingle?
Shit happens.
Shit does happen.
As most of these movies.
So yeah, any
it's rolling and shit happens.
any research can be done, and you will know that Fred Hampton was assassinated. I mean, it's pretty much history just calls it an assassination at this point.
Yeah.
The FBI has said that it was a raid or a police raid on his apartment, and he was killed in quote unquote the crossfire. And the information that led to that was from the Lakeith Stanfield character, William O'Neill. Yes.
Bill. Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
I love that scene. I thought that scene was good.
Yeah, there are some moments of really great tension in this, particularly the hot wiring scene.
Yep.
The car scene.
Yeah. That scene had a lot of tension. The other one that really gripped me was the when they go into the Crown's like headquarters.
Yes,
sure.
And you're like,
and they're like surrounded.
Like the pool, where they're shooting pool. Yeah.
Well, then after that, they go to like their actual headquarters and
where they're like walking up the stairs, and then they're like basically everybody's got like an AK-47 in their hand
for sure.
Yeah,
and then the guy who Lakeith Stanfield steals a car from at the beginning of the movie is there, and you're like, oh fuck.
Brings him back in on the other side of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of those moments are handled particularly well, I think. Anytime the camera is on Kahlua or Lakeith to a certain extent. I have an issue with how Lakeith Stanfield's character is introduced. And kind of his
the FBI scene in the beginning.
Well, not even that, but that we never know his character before he's been turned to an informant at all. So our only real introduction to him is this duplicitous character that we are introduced to at the start of the movie that we don't know what his baseline is. We only know that he is capable of stealing a car and trying to pull one over. He seems a little bit awkward. He seems they mentioned that he's young and he kind of has this behind it. And then the Plemons character, like for me, the most interesting parts of his character are when he's talking about the FBI agent. He's like, I didn't have a lot of role models then. None of us did, and so he became this kind of thing. And those things humanize him in some ways, but and his story is so tragic and so it's an aptly named movie, but his story is so tragic and so sad. But I never felt anything more than sympathy for him. I never felt the empathy for him, and that's a huge difference to make. You can feel a lot of sympathy for people, but when you truly empathize with them, that's that next level of storytelling that I feel like it goes into, and that for me is missing in this role for him. I think he brings a great amount to it, but there is something missing on the back end where I don't know that character well enough to understand his emotional changes,
the dynamic of it
throughout the movie. Yeah, and then later when we get the real William O'Neill at the end of the film, when he finally sees him speak, and he talks about how I stood for something. I didn't. It wasn't perfect, but I stood for it. I wasn't the one there, on the street corner or anything. That's an fascinating message and has a whole ton of nuance in it, but that's never really addressed in the movie
until the end.
Well, yeah, even it's kind of started at the beginning of it when he's saying, how do you feel about Martin Luther King, or how do you feel about Malcolm X? But then it's never really come back
he's like,
to.
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, and we understand it as the audience of this kind of, well, that's Plemons in, and that's his testing of where this guy is on the spectrum,
where his gauge is at.
Right, but we never see Lakeith's answer to that, to that. He's just immediately put into service, and so that was a big issue I had with kind of his characterization. Dominique Fishback was the other side of that too, where and this was another kind of big I'm just going to get my criticisms out of the way to start this, because I really did enjoy a lot of this movie, but these are things that did bother me quite a bit. The age on both of these actors.
Yes.
And this is something that I've seen brought up in a lot of criticism of this. Fred Hampton was 21 when he was assassinated.
Right.
And
that's crazy.
William O'Neill was 17 when he turned informant. Neither of these actors passed for that.
They look like
anywhere close. And particularly when paired with Dominique Fishback, who the last thing I saw her in was Project Power, which we actually talked about on Pod, where she was very clearly an underage girl.
Yeah.
That was a really hard suspension of disbelief to break, that they were in this kind of thing. And she does a great job and an admirable job of doing it. And again, I'm not unaware that I'm coming at this at a different thing. Most people haven't seen Project Power and everything, but and that's kind of why I did extra research on this. But it is kind of, again, something that's come up a couple times, is the age difference on the actors, the age they're portraying.
Yeah, you never would have realized that until you get to the end of the movie, and they state their
and that
age
is,
without doing any kind of additional research.
And that is so much more tragic, obviously.
100%.
But it also, knowing that now, my feelings about some of the scenes change a little bit.
Sure.
Because in some ways, Fred's seems almost too assured. He has the gravitas of a 30-year-old male.
Yeah,
you feel like he's been there and seen that and that kind of thing.
He hasn't.
Yeah, and so... And the other side of things is that, and we exist in this weird space in which this is kind of thing, and it actually reminded me of it in Nomadland too, is you are acutely aware that this is and inspired by true story. So every time I saw Fred on screen, there was this kind of small thing in the back of my head that was like, okay, well, we're seeing a sanitized version of this. I know that the real Fred Hampton had to be more human than this, There were some more complexities that were going on in there too. So you always wonder at what, that this is not revisionist history, but this is a history through a lens.
Right.
And so that lens is going to go one way or the other. So, those are just some of the things I had in an otherwise excellent film. There were some things in there that I thought were a little bit, it didn't quite succeed for me in areas. But yeah, you guys talk now for a bit. I'm going to take a break, as I say every episode.
No, I think those criticisms are all very fair. I think you're right with the Lakeith Stanfield. His character didn't feel fully fleshed out in his background and everything like that. We kind of you're right. We only know him as an FBI informant, and we kind of need to know him outside of that to really fully emphasize. I think great point there. It did throw me off a little bit with the Dominique Fishback thing being the first thing I noted was I thought she was going to play a teenager, and then they got into relationships with Fred, and so I was kind of like, oh, that's a little weird, and I just kind of bought into it. But they did throw me off for sure when that first kind of started playing out. I started to remember some of the other points that you made that I wanted to bring up, but I forgot.
Okay, I'll jump in.
Yeah,
then.
Go ahead, Blake.
I see what you're saying, Nathaniel. It's definitely, and even me being aware of kind of the Fred Hampton situation, I wasn't even aware of how young he was till I started watching this movie, and I saw kind of end credits on that. But that's kind of that classic Hollywood problem, right, where you have people cast that's just way out of the age range, right?
Sure.
Because by no means did I think Fred Hampton. Would anyone think that Fred Hampton is 21 years old watching this film until you see the kind of the final scenes and then credits? And you're like, oh, holy shit. One thing I did find interesting here is about 10 minutes in, I had to end up throwing the subtitles on just because I had a really hard time understanding anything Daniel was saying.
It took some getting used to for me as well, and there were scenes when I didn't quite catch it, or where I felt like if you don't have a good ear attuned for that, you are definitely gonna miss it too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
He talks really fast.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. He uses very poetic language, and he talks very quickly, and that's kind of hard for the ear to catch up with every now and then too. That being said, I think you're right. There's a lyricism to his performance that is really, really interesting and fun to watch.
It is
for sure,
yeah.
and they address it too.
She calls him a poet.
Yeah, that's the poetic form
Mm-hmm.
of it there too, which I thought was a little bit cute by half, but it's cool. I like it. What do you guys think of this in comparison to Boys in the Hood and Paid in Full? Kind of going back a week or two or so, because it exists in kind of a different world in some ways.
It does.
Yeah. I'll let somebody else jump on that.
I think this is just more of the I don't really want to like say radical side of things, but yeah, I mean this is like the stuff that's gonna pave the way for revolutionaries.
Yeah.
And you see this kind of transformation in pretty much all the characters.
Right.
You see Daniel's character go from like this, he's ready to start a war, and and then he has his talk with Dominique Fish back, and she kind of turns the tides, and then that's when you see the C4 scene, and he's like, I want to blow some shit up, and he's like, dude, that is not what we're doing anymore. Like that's not how we're going. And he's like, well, I'm here for the people. You said you wanted to die for the people, and
right.
So yeah, it's crazy to see like his side of things where he's like not ready to do any of that, and he's like, these guys have RPGs,
right?
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he's the one that's got C4, later in the
Right.
story, and it's pretty crazy to see that. And I think the Boys in the Hoods and the Paid in Fulls are really important, but I think that's more of the stuff that we would obviously, humanize with a little bit more.
Sure.
It's just a little bit more realistic for us because we never saw this.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it's wild. But yeah, I think this is in a much bigger picture and on a much bigger stage than Boys in the Hood and Paid in Full.
Stylistically,
Especially now.
Stylistically, they're different, right?
Yeah.
The Boys in the Hood and Paid in Full are both realism films. They're set in this as if you are experiencing what those timelines were like in the moment with those characters, right? Paid in Full is obviously a little bit slicker. It's got the kind of 2000s vibe around it. Boys in the Hood is very much of its time, 90s, almost documentary style thing. This is much more stylized. It's almost a memory of this kind of time and place. You see that reflected in the directing. Boys in the Hood would never have that staircase scene that I was talking about earlier, or that kind of following shot of Daniel Kaluuya as he walks into the auditorium and they do the
up the stairs.
Yeah, and they do the I'm a revolutionary, that whole speech and everything. Even it's shot wise, I'm talking. It is fundamentally different film language in between the two of them. And there's properly crushed blacks in Judas and the Black Messiah. Boys in the Hood is very much more high contrast, very much more set in that faded out reality world on there. So really, really liked the visual style in this film overall. Is there a more iconic silhouette than the Black Panther silhouette? I mean, say what you will about the party, but they got a look, and it is a good look.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you gotta give credit to the movie. The costumes were incredible.
Yeah,
they were
for
spot
sure.
on. You knew exactly what time period you were in. Between the crowns, the Puerto Ricans, the Black Panthers,
Young Patriots.
Yep. You knew exactly where you were at in that movie just based on the costumes alone. So yeah, it was all very period correct. It was awesome.
I think makes an interesting comparison piece with Black Klansman from a few years ago. Have you either of you guys seen that?
I could see that. I could see
not.
how you pull that.
I was thinking about that while watching this and kind of drawing some comparisons.
Yeah,
to it.
where in Black Klansman you have a black man impersonating a white man on the police department, coming at it from this lawful side, where they're investigating the Klan and the Klan is looking at doing something.
Right.
Whereas on this side you have the black man spying on the black Panthers, which gets the direct comparison to the Klan by Jesse Plemons in the film, and doing it at the behest of the police department being basically forced into, I think is interesting. Makes for a good comparison.
Another comparison. I was talking to my brother earlier today about the movie. His friend Joe, who I think I've definitely mentioned before, who works in Hollywood a little bit. He compared it to The Departed.
Yeah, and I had
Okay.
I had seen in the IMDb page that I think they were talking about that was part of their kind of initial pitch, was like a black version of The Departed, and the director, I believe, is the one who was talking. He was saying how he kind of intended this to be this almost backdoor biopic of Fred Hampton, and this was going to be the way that they got that done, because no one was going to get that funded, so they decided they'd make this kind of thriller side of thing about the investigation into this guy who betrayed Fred Hampton, and that was kind of how their way of going about it. And it's compelling, right? It makes an excellent, compelling case, but there's also just moments where I feel like it falls into that standard biopic story that it feels like they want to tell, and that's where it loses that momentum. And those are those moments for me where Dominic Fishback's character gets relegated kind of to the background, or you kind of move through these the big moments in his life, you don't get the texture around them, like the Rainbow Coalition, which they were talking about, which is the American Patriots and the crowns and everything. That's fascinating, but that it gets a montage. You know, it's over in 30 seconds and that kind of thing. There's so much, and it's because they are split between these two leads, I think, which are both compelling in their own cases. But again,
had they just concentrated on one or the other.
Well, yeah, and I feel like, I apologize, listeners, I have been reading a lot of film criticism recently, and I told Tyler before this, I feel like my academic brain has been re-engaged, so now this is all being forced on this film, so it sounds like I'm being overly critical. But when we tell these stories and we look beyond them as more than just catharsis for finding out about famous characters, finding out about these figures that in history that have been sidelined, finding out about these. It's an outrage that we don't know more about this, and the film is designed to make you feel outrageous. But beyond that, beyond just telling the story of it, you do ask the question of, is this the best way to tell that story? And that is the heart of film criticism for me personally, and for what I hope most film critics are looking at. So this has been long and ranty. I apologize to you guys.
Don't apologize.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah, it's I like it. Like Adam said, I mean, this is a piece that's definitely timely for. I mean, I think it's going to be timely for that matter at any time period, right? Whether it be 10 years ago or
10
right
years
now,
from now,
where you're kind of starting to see these things get revolutionized. But yeah, I would challenge people to go out there and watch this film and learn something about Fred Hampton, right? Whether you're somebody like me who kind of already knew the story, or somebody who didn't know the story at all and just kind of wanted to watch a movie just because maybe perhaps you enjoy a Lakeith Stanfield. Or something of that nature. But yeah, there's something to take away from the movie for sure. Their cinematography is good. Does anyone know what else this director's done by chance? Just because I really did like the work, but I couldn't recall his name on anything.
He doesn't have a lot for directing credits.
He's got 10. Shrill, High Maintenance, People of Earth.
Have you guys seen any of those by chance? Or
I haven't.
Yeah, because none of those ring a bell for me either.
Yeah, like I said, it's mostly TV stuff. Newlyweds, I think, is the one that was his debut film, which is I think in a similar vein in some ways. I don't know.
Newlyweds?
Newlyweds. I'm sorry. Yeah, now I'm just talking out my ass. I don't even know what.
Well, I just didn't know if maybe that was like a play on words kind of thing.
No, I think it definitely is. Yeah. But yeah, his command of the film itself and the camera and everything, it was spot on. Like I said, my issues with the film have generally been with the writing, and again, I'm not trying to sound critical. I actually think this is an excellent movie and is very well deserving of the praise it is. I'm just trying to be more expansive with criticism, I guess, going forward.
Yeah, fair.
Looking on the positives, I mean, we've been over the criticisms, of course, but the acting, I think Daniel Kaluuya, we've said before, but I'll say it again, is just incredible. I got chills during that revolutionary speech scene, and that doesn't happen often. And I wish I could have seen something like that in theaters with the impact that that sound has and that big screen has, and it was at times this movie is very moving, and I think it's meant to be that way, but it definitely succeeds when it's trying to do that.
Yeah, when it is operating on an emotional level, it is very successful, which is great because that's what films need to operate on. Having a visceral experience of a film is a completely normal and probably the first way that you experience a movie. So, I think this film hits all the right beats in those parts. It's great when it's quiet too. I like that it has that ability that, as you said, Adam, it roused you, it brought you up, it has all those noise, but then it also has that great scene where it is Daniel Kaluuya and Dominique Fishback at the end of it, where she is pregnant and they're having that conversation on what it means to die for the revolution and how important how involved you need to be and what your sacrifice needs to be in there too. So I think being able to show those two moments is again emblematic of their skill and the skill that this movie is made with.
Something else I really want to mention is the music. I actually really enjoyed the music, and I thought it accentuated what was going on screen really, really well. And it wasn't overly used, and it came in at various parts, but the style of music they have, I thought was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think it's
just something I noticed.
It's a highlight for it as well, too. Yeah.
Do we have any closing thoughts here?
I don't think so. I mean,
I
think we've touched on a lot of bases.
Just
it's a great movie, man.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, I think we can just leave it at that. It's a great movie.
Where
go watch it. You probably already have if you're still here.
Are you guys gonna try and kind of get to all of the nominated movies this year and that kind of thing? Where is this one going hot and heavy on the list of kind of, well, I guess let's just tie it into the Entropy list, which is a lot of things that we've watched this year. See where it ranks on this guy.
Sure. Yeah. Let's give a welcome back here to our listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast.
Real quick, sorry. Favorite scene.
Oh, okay. We can don't
come back yet.
Spoiler.
Yeah, my bad.
Scene? Definitely.
I'm gonna go
the speech.
My bad. Go ahead, Adam.
The revolutionary speech. Like I said, I got chills there. I think it was just a really powerful speech. The delivery was great. I don't know, and I liked where the camera was working with the shot to the crowd. Who's in the crowd? That dynamic between seeing Plemons and then Lakeith Stanfield. They're kind of like back and forth a little bit. Really like that scene.
Yeah. I think I'm either going to go with the hot wire scene in the car, or even just the one in the beginning. Where Daniel, obviously playing Fred, is talking about the difference between like politics and war.
Yeah,
I'd probably have to go with a toss-up between those two.
Yeah, those are both really, really well done. I would say for me, I do like the meeting with the crowns originally, where you see the kind of interaction there as well, because that's where you first get to see Fred in action, right?
Sure.
That's where he comes alive, and you see the poet that Fishback has been talking about, earlier on, as she's kind of referencing. So yeah, those are the moments for me, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I would say the speech scene. The shootout's pretty cool at headquarters.
This movie got a lot more actiony and violent
as you went on.
Too. But I probably should have, because I knew going into it the Black Panthers were one of the more violent civil rights groups. But it just definitely got more violent than I was expecting. You got a lot of visceral shots of cops getting shot, and then the Black Panthers
that dude gets drilled in the head at the end there.
Did you guys and this is something for me that I missed. So O'Neill, was the implication that O'Neill did poison Hampton first, and then he wasn't quite dead, and then they shot him, or was it that he didn't go through with the poisoning?
It was established that the poison was just to put O'Neill was just to put Fred to sleep, when he gets it from the guy at the bar, he says, "Don't worry." He
It'll
says
make him
something like,
sleepy.
"Don't worry, it's not gonna kill him.
Well,
it's just gonna make him sleepy."
Which I didn't know if that was a kind of like a no, don't worry, he's gonna be sleepy, quote unquote, and then he'll die.
Sure.
No, I think the impression I got was that they were just trying to
They
put him to
drugged
sleep so
him.
that when the raid happened, he, they could say he wouldn't leave the room, and so they had to go in and
Got
and
it.
shoot him or
Okay,
something like
okay.
That's the implication I read from that, but I could be wrong.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know enough about the actual case. I'm sure that was a pretty big thing too. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up as well.
Sure.
But yeah, now let's welcome back everyone.
All right, part 2 here. Welcome back, listeners.
My bad.
You're good, dude. That was a good. I like getting into our favorite scenes, so I'm glad we got back to that. We're gonna take a moment here to put Judas and the Black Messiah up upon our Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. If you would like to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where I have it linked to my Letterboxd. Man, Ty, we made some predictions last week, and
I'm not going first this
for
time.
me. You're not. No. Sorry, I wasn't going to ask you to go first.
No, I know. I'm just stating for everybody.
I'll toss it to Nathaniel. Nathaniel, you had a lot to say, and I don't think I've given it to you first in a while. So let's toss it to you.
Yeah, give it to him.
I'm pulling up the Entropy list as we speak. Hold on.
Okay.
Jeez.
Do you need some time?
Yeah, this one's it's gonna be tough.
I think it is going to be tough.
Oh man.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I just pulled it up myself.
Slackers.
What are you thinking, Nathaniel?
Oof. Okay, so this is another one where I'm going with the crowd. So I know you guys are gonna have this above the Y Tu Mamá También. The question for me is it better than Green Room over Whiplash? And I don't know on that one. I think for me,
You're saying Green Room, in your opinion, is better than Whiplash, so you're debating on whether.
No. I'm debating on where I'm putting Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm saying
In that range.
Yeah. Am I saying is it better than Whiplash? Is it worse than Whiplash? Is it better than Green Room? Is it worse than Whiplash?
Got it.
I don't particularly. In my heart of heart, I'm going to say it. I don't think it's better than Y Tu Mamá También, but I know the group is going to go in different directions.
Higher on that movie than all three of us combined, I think. So
What's up?
I said you're higher on that movie than all three of us.
Yeah,
combined.
which I don't remember,
Yeah,
but
for
anyways,
sure.
whatever. We'll figure it out. I'll explain it why it's great someday. I don't know.
Okay.
But anyways, so I think I'm gonna put this at 11. I think I'm gonna put it below Green Room, above Y Tu Mamá También, below Whiplash, just outside the top 10. Not again for any missing of its messaging or for anything any skill on its director's part, but I think Green Room is better written, and I think Whiplash if I had my druthers, I'd probably switch those two, but I think for where it is on the list and where we've kind of been going, below Green Room, above Y Tu Mamá También.
I can't help but agree. That's exactly where I had it slotted in that too. I think this movie is really good. I think Green Room's a more compact, concise movie. I think it's
They're about as different in
Still
genres as
valid.
you can be.
yeah, they are very different. They are definitely very different. But that's the beauty of the Entropy list.
Yeah, I think for me, Green Room is just kind of a more fully realized vision of what it wants to be, and that is where I kind of see it as a difference in that and Judas.
11 it is for me.
Green Room stuff.
You had 11 too, Ty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll keep it sweet then. I'll cap it off with that as well.
Cap at 11. All right, yeah.
I should probably have the least pull on that due to circumstances, but yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, I don't think you disagree. Once you've completed the full viewing, but yeah, I don't know. I think this was really good. I like where it is on the Entropy list. So yeah, there you have it.
Cool.
Slide it in there.
Here
At number 11, above Green Room. I'm sorry, below Green Room, above Y2 Mama Tambien. Our next week's episode is going to be on, I believe it's Get Out, right? We're doing Get Out. Let me check the schedule.
I
here,
believe
guys.
so.
Yeah, Get Out. So
Okay,
this
see you
will
later.
be. Is that going to be our final episode of Black History Month? I think it is.
Yes, sir.
You got the
We're
schedule.
right into March after that.
I'm
check
fairly
We
that.
got
certain
Kong
March
versus
comes after
Godzilla. What's that,
February.
like second week of March?
That's
like
going to
when
be,
I'm
I
way
think that'll
ahead.
probably be right after. So
I was gonna say we got new movies actually coming out soon.
yeah. So that'll be our last movie for Black History Month, which is gonna be, I've liked this a lot actually.
I mean, this is technically a new movie.
This has been fun. So yeah, go ahead, watch
point.
Get Out. Let me see where that's streaming at. If
We'll have more than one new movie.
I have it on Voodoo for you guys.
I'm
So
just
if you
trying to
guys
see
wanna
if
go
there's
on
a
there.
place.
Yeah, I own a copy.
I
of
think
Get
I
Out.
have a copy as well.
Okay. It's on Fubo. Sorry, Fubo. It's on Fubo.
Is that a free app by chance?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's
you
it's
can
like a
watch it with ads.
Tubi.
Yeah,
Crackle.
it is. Yep.
It reminds me of the robot from Flubber, Phoebo.
Oh yeah, Phoebo. Phoebo's great.
I'm excited for
Who's
this.
in Flubber? Is that
Robert Williams.
Robert Williams, yeah.
That is Robin. Yeah, I don't know why I was going to say Bill Murray, but I was like, that's not correct at all.
Similar energy in that movie.
But very, very.
All right, well, listeners, let's go ahead, give Get Out a watch this week, and join us next week for the review. Nathaniel, we don't really even have time for a 5-star review, but do we even have one? Do you know?
Don't worry about it. Let's get on out of here.
All right, yeah, leave your 5-star reviews. We'll get on the pod. Please share the podcast. It really helps us out. We really appreciate it. We want to grow. Can't do so.
Yeah, I want
without
to
you.
say something. I've been talking a lot all day today, and I'm talking to you
Okay.
listening to this right now. Share the podcast, all right? We want to grow. We want to get bigger. We like talking about this stuff. We love each other. We love you. So
Yeah.
tell other people
We
about
do.
us, all right?
Yeah.
All right,
We
that's
hope
all I
you love
got
us.
to say.
Yeah. All right. That's all. Great. Thanks. Nathaniel. You can find us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row, and on YouTube just Back Row Banter. And then if you want to contact us for any questions, comments, concerns, or grievances, or anything of the sort, you can do so at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder, I'll toss it over to you, man.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Letterboxd. I'm actually in here right now logging some of the stuff I watched this week. So I'm kind of catching up on that. I'm terrible at
Batman
logging these
Beyond.
things, ladies and gentlemen. But I am trying right now to keep it updated. So that'll be Letterboxd. BlakeHolder. I'll be on there. I think I actually might try to do a review on Saint Maud. For anybody who knows me, it's a new horror film, and I'm huge on horror. So I think I'm gonna try to put some notes down on that one and just kind of release some thoughts. But yeah, that's it for me. We'll go to Ty.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Ty.
You can find me on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/El Trabajo. I've spelled
You got
it
some
enough,
exciting stuff
so-
going on over there, right?
We do, yeah. So we've been talking a while about getting a second cam hooked up to my stream so that way you can see both Nathaniel and I, seeing as we stream about 7 feet away from each other. So yeah, he's gonna be basically on my stream every time I stream, regardless of what we're streaming, unless he's not here.
And I'm going to make him do it more often. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
I got my logo up there. I did a lot of playing around today in OBS, so we should be having some fun with that. So, and as long as it's easy to get everything going, then it'll probably make me want to stream more, because convenience is key, ladies and gentlemen.
That's true.
And then Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, you can find me all at Tyler Vidalis, Vidales. And I have been doing some tweeting lately, so
I've been noticing, man.
Yeah.
I've been liking it, engaging.
appreciate it.
One thing I will say, obviously, is that I had a thought, and I actually had a joke there that was going to make sense. But now it's gone. You can find me at
Okay, Nathaniel, where can we find you?
at NS Gingrich or at NathanielG92 at Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter. I don't have a Twitch, but maybe someday. Who knows? We'll see. Man, what was that I was going to say? Oh, well.
Is it about my logo looking like the Jurassic Park logo?
No, but that also does make sense.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, yeah.
I liked that a lot. It was something to do with what we were talking about, but that's okay. Oh, I remember now. You know what would be convenient is if you shared the pod for us. That was just tying in back to what we were saying, because you're saying convenience is key. So it'd be convenient for all of us if you shared the podcast for us.
Oh yeah, it would.
That would be convenient and greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And recommend it.
We'll kick it over to Blake. Have you've gone?
Yeah, Blake was first, so it's Adam's turn.
So it's Adam.
Get us out of here.
Get out of here. Help me.
Did you even tell him where you could find him?
Yeah, NS Gingrich at Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter.
And then he said maybe someday he'll have a Twitch.
Yep, Sandpiper tapes too.
Yeah,
you can find those.
You did.
Okay,
cool.
New stuff coming with that soon, hopefully.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Aish24, on Letterboxd at Aish, on Twitch, twitch.tv/Aish. That's really all I got for you guys. We'll catch you guys next week for Get Out. Spread some love one another. We'll be RB.
Hey, be excellent to each other, and we'll be RB.
Thanks for coming by. We definitely appreciate you listening. Please, for the love of God, tell somebody about us, because we want to grow, and it'll be great. And just be kind to each other. Start asking yourself some questions. I don't know. Maybe, just be more aware of things. And we'll be RB.
Yeah. I actually just realized the two main stars of the film we just reviewed are actually the two main. I guess.
Yep.
Maybe Lakeith's not necessarily the main star of the next film we're watching. But yeah, nonetheless, great film. If you haven't seen Get Out, please go watch that. You'll see us talk about it next week. Share the podcast, show love, spread love. We'll be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Who's taking pictures?
Me.
Why?
Doing Snapchats. Chap snats.
Don't do that.
You're on Snapchat, Nathaniel?
Occasionally. I don't really do much. I don't think I ever post on there. I don't understand it. I'm officially too old for Snapchat. Like I missed the boat on that one.
Dude, honestly, at this point,
I think I'm with you on that.
I'm really over Snapchat.
It's like there's a whole set. It's a whole community that's got its whole set of like language and rules and everything. And I missed the boat. You guys remember Yik Yak?
Yeah.
Remember when that was a thing?
I do. I wonder if Adam knows what that is.
What is?
Do you know what Yik Yak is?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know what that is.
It was this, I guess, social media sort of, but it was just basically people would just go and post anonymous things out in the. It's hard to explain that. It was just
really weird.
It was just a message board almost, where you would just go and just put it
like
on
a
there.
wall.
Yeah, but it was always anonymous, and it ended up being kind of like a thing. But it was also geographically based, so like you would only see people within a certain range of it or whatever. So it got like really popular at colleges because it was like, party at blah 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 blah, and then everyone, and then it got up there, or there'd be like gossip on there or something crazy.
Right.
But you couldn't do like videos. It was only text, and then then there was like a ton of it had an upvote downvote system kind of thing, and
Got it.
So it was popular for like 2 or 3 years though. Maybe I'm crazy. I thought it was about a year, I guess.
Maybe you're.
But it was.
Oh yeah, you're about spot on.
Yeah.
It was popular. I want to say probably my freshman and sophomore year of college.
So what, like 2013?
Yeah,
Exactly.
about 2013, 2014.
You guys remember Ask FM? Did you guys ever use that?
No.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea with the anonymous posting. It's like you made an account, and I think it was tied to maybe your Facebook. And
Also, all of that shit's logged forever. Like Zuckerberg's got everything.
I'm pretty locked down.
No,
like
dude. Zuckerberg's got it. Let's be honest.
Probably. But it was like you could just post random questions to people, and it was completely anonymous. And so there was some big fucking was a big deal when I was in middle school because people were just going on there and fucking attacking other people basically, and then also like saying sexual things about other
that's
people.
how I remember Ask FM.
Yeah, it was bad.
I mean, I think like every generation has like early days of the internet. Well, of our generations of like early days of next level communication. Like legitimately, when Tyler and I were high school, it was like chain messages or text messages. Like I came online during the vogue of the introduction of texting, when texting took off among teenagers, and like I survived the years of the 500 message limit for a month, and then every text after that was like a dime, and everything. So I vividly remember being pre-social media, like this sweet spot of like actual texting, like texting being in vogue, and then pre-dawn of social media, where my friend's dad said, and I quote, "Texting steals your mind." And it was so prescient of everything to come after that.
Yeah. I remember texting before social
Did you ever?
Because I got my first phone in 6th grade.
I was gonna say
2012.
Did you have a phone with buttons?
Yeah.
Okay.
My first phone. My first phone was a little red LG, and it had a touchscreen.
Was it
chocolate?
Was it chocolate?
No, I don't think it was.
Was it the Voyager?
Chocolate was the slide.
It slid up on the side.
The chocolate
and
was dope.
it had the keyboard.
Yeah, I remember that time.
I did not have the Voyager, but I had the
It was
Ally.
red.
My dad had a chocolate.
Wait, what did you say, Adam? You said it slid up?
It slid to the side. It didn't
Slid to
slide
the
up.
side.
So like it didn't. If this is the right.
Is that the Envy?
The phone.
No, I had the Envy. I had the
is that
Envy
the
too.
Envy?
The Envy was a flip. It was a flip
Phone
side.
Keyboard.
Yeah, and the Envy had the buttons on the front and the
I found
small
it.
screen.
LG
at the top,
Expression.
right?
LG
The
Expression.
LG Expression. Hold on, I'm Googling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember that one. I had the Envy. I had the Voyager.
Bro, if you had
with an
if you
X.
had the Voyager, you were like middle class rich. Like
There's no E there.
like, there was like the elites that had the iPhones and the droids, and then there was the Voyager, and that was like middle class rich. Like,
This is my phone. This is taking me back a little bit.
When did you guys get your first iPhone? Obviously, outside of Ty. Ty doesn't have an iPhone.
bro, college.
Yeah.
So what is that iPhone 5, Nathaniel?
I think no, I had a 4S. That's what I started on.
Oh, see, I am the first iPhone I got was a 5. I think. Yeah, first iPhone I got was a 5.
All right, Asia.
Got
I
the
didn't
5,
ever have
the
this phone.
5S.
But this was like the future version of my like first touchscreen phone. Like this looks like the like downgraded like economic version, the one that you give to your 6th grader version of my old phone.
I was in 6th grade. I had it for almost 2 years. I think 2 years actually, maybe a full 2 years. And towards the end of it, my friend, we had a sleepover, and at one point he spilled water on my phone, and so for about 6 months until I got a new phone, sometimes the keyboard would double type a letter, and it was annoying as shit because the keyboard was all messed up.
Man, middle
And
school
then I got
problems.
a Nokia. Yeah, I think it was either a 720 or 520, but I had a Nokia.
Was that a Windows phone at that time?
Yeah, it was a Windows phone.
Back when
I
none
think it
of
was
us
a
knew what like an operating system was or why that was any different from anything
it
else.
was pretty bad. It was
Right.
pretty bad.
Hey, Adam, were you around in the times where like you had the unlimited minutes after like 8 p.m. or something, and like you would try to like
nights
only
and
contact
weekends.
people via phone at night?
Nights
Or
and
on
weekends.
Oh
No,
yeah, see, he's a
I first-
little too young for
My
that.
first messaging plan, I think, had a listing and
Yeah.
500 minutes. I think that was my plan.
Yeah,
but
see-
I remember having to ask people, "Do you have unlimited texts?" Because
Yeah, unlimited
sure.
text was oh man.
I'm going to keep texting somebody if they don't have unlimited texts
Bro.
and like keep spamming or something.
Unlimited text saved lives. I say
did.
this with like all seriousness. I remember hearing stories of kids racking up, $30,000 phone bills from all the texting they were doing and everything.
Wild.
It was all the rage, man. You just wanted to talk to some friends.
Different times now, man. I actually funny enough, so for my birthday I had to get on my own phone plan.
Happy birthday, kicking you off the phone bill.
Yeah, that's kind of what my mom said. Yeah, she was like, "Well, now, yes, you have your own benefits now, so you can go get your own phone plan." So funny enough, I ended up going with AT&T, but it's crazy, like the conversation we're having now of like not having an unlimited text and things of that nature.
Sure.
Like that stuff's given on like every plan now, even the bottom plan.
Yeah,
unlimited text, unlimited talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy. I remember days where, like I said, you had to wait till like 8:30 to call somebody.
Right.
Otherwise, it was like, dude, I got like 60 minutes left.
Yep.
And there's 12 days left.
Unlimited nights and weekends. I remember those days. What's funny for you is that you can't even like hide to your mom like what benefits or anything you may have through work. She's literally your own HR representative, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's terrible, man.
Like, to answer your earlier question, after the Nokia is when I got my first iPhone, which was an iPhone 6S in freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a freshman in college.
And then
I got my sophomore year of college, I believe. I got my first iPhone.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I've only had 5. This is my 5th phone. This one right now is only my 5th phone.
Oh my god.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's upsetting.
Oh, I don't even know if I could tell you how many phones I've had. My first phone was a Razr, though. That was the first phone I had, Motorola Razr.
The flip ones?
We should probably get this going.
You've been on Warzone.
Yeah, I know. I just finished. That's why.
They actually came in 6th with no audio. It's pretty impressive.
Fuck. I think that was like a 4th or a 5th. 4th.
Ayo.
Yeah. 3 kills.
Ayo.
Was it a solo?
Yeah, it was solo. I can't hear shit either because I got you guys in my headphones, so I'm not even plugged into my Xbox.
That's funny.
I've never utilized the heartbeat sensor more in my entire life.
Welcome to our gaming podcast.
Yeah.
Guys on Gaming.
Long-term plan, I would love to start a gaming podcast.
I don't think I could be a part of that.
Why?
I'm not
He's
nerdy
done.
enough. I think like I'd be like, yeah, so Mario's pretty cool, right? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm on Destiny 5 now, and I'd be like, that's cool. So you guys like shoot people in that game, or